So we've talked about the big three. We've talked about getters and setters. Notice in our class definition, I have a setter for every one of my instance variables, and I have a getter for every one of my instance variables. This is what you should have as well. In every single one of your class definitions, you're supposed to first define the big three, the instance variables, the constructors, and the toString, and then you are to write your getters and setters for your instance variables. The last aspect that we're going to talk about of a class definition are what we call brain methods, or at least what I call brain methods. What are brain methods? They are methods that perform a certain job, okay, related to the instance variables of the object. So let's assume that in our game, this attack value, let's say it's 7 for a certain object, is the midpoint of the person's attack. So if the attack value is 7, then that means that their attack should be a random value from 5 to 9, okay, plus or minus 2 from 7. Random value plus or minus 2. So why don't we go ahead and implement that? And how can we do that? Well, we can implement that by using creating or defining a brain method. So I'm going to go ahead and put that right here above my setters. I'm going to call it, it's going to return an integer, and I should call it generate attack maybe. It doesn't need to take in any information because it already has access to the attack instance variable that's set to, let's suppose, 7. Right? So what is this going to return? Well, maybe I can say rando attack is equal to math.random times 5. So this is going to give me a random number from 0 to 4. Right? Then I'm going to take that number, int it, and then I am going to add the attack minus 2. Alright, so how is this going to work? Oh, this is a new variable we need to make. So how is this going to work? This is the range of my random numbers, which is 4. Right? So it's going to be 0 to 4. And then I'm going to add the attack, which is 7 minus 2. I'm going to add 5. Right? So if I add 5 to this range of numbers, that means on the low end I have 5, and on the high end I have 9. Right? So if we have 7 as our attack value, 7 minus 2 is 5, 7 plus 2 is 9. Right? So this expression gives me a random number plus or minus 2 with attack in the center of that range, right? 5 to 9. Okay, so this works. So now what do I need to do? Now I need to return that random value, rando attack. Alright, so now whenever I'm in my driver, I can go ahead and call generate attack, and it will return my attack value that's randomly been generated based on the object's attack value. Right? So this is an example of a brain method. It performs a certain job that involves the instance variables of the object. So I'm over here in the driver. Right? Let's forget about this. You could see that my attack instance variable is set to 7. And maybe I can go ahead and say hero.generate attack. Right? And maybe I can also put it in a for loop so we could see it happen over and over and over again. Let me go ahead and run this. And you can see these are my attacks, and you can see that they're random values from 5 to 9. Right? So whenever I'm in my my program here and I ever want to get a random attack from the hero, I can call generate attack. Right? And if this here was not 7, but instead it was 10, right, then my brain method is going to generate random values from 8 to 12, and you can see that it randomly generates from 8 to 12. So this is an example of a brain method which performs a specific job. And this is going to be asked of you in the next exercise.